All right, Shalom. I just wanted to go on a little bit of a rant about an article that I seen just yesterday on so-called Easter. Um, and the article was about that this dude Joe Biden, right, the president of the United States, aka Babylon the Great. He declared that March 31st every year will be practiced as they call it trans visibility day, right? Basically, in a nutshell, it's about paying tribute to people in the society that fall under those type of categories, like people out here born as a male, identify himself as a woman, right? People out here that identify themselves as a piece of bread, people out here that identify themselves as a blue whale, right? People out here that identify themselves as an elephant. The list could go on and on. It's remarkable to me. But what I found really weird was how is it that this guy that's supposedly like a Christian, right? Because just like all the other presidents around this world, I'm sure this dude Biden probably went to church on Sunday, right? Just like what's this dude Vladimir Putin, right, over in Russia, just like how he went to church for Easter Sunday, right, or for oh, matter of fact, over in Russia, right, the church that that Putin attends to, the priest over the church, he declared that the war taking place in Ukraine, it's a holy war, meaning what? That the people of Russia are fighting for God's will, basically, against the evil. Well, I can't use that word because they get flagged on this platform, but the evil, people in Ukraine, right? You know what they call them over in Russia, but yeah, they declared that what's taking place over there, it's now considered to be a holy war, right? According to the Orthodox Church in Russia, right? That's what the priest over there has declared. So anyway, I just found it remarkable to me. It's like, wow, so really, you're gonna take this day Easter, which everybody out here believes that this is like, a significant day that has to do with Jesus Christ, right? And the day is founded around this character Jesus, right? At least according to the belief, it is, right? Which we really know that there are times of the year that they go off of out here is wrong, right? The times of the year that people go by today is not the same as thousands of years ago, right? The calendar days were changed, right? You got something called the Gregorian calendar and your Julian calendar, right? Which you can look into those. But the point is, the days of the week back when Christ walked the earth, those are not the same that people are going by today, right? So with the whole debate about what the Sabbath day is, right? People say Saturday, some say Sunday. But the truth is, with the whole argument for both sides, how do we know what day it actually is? Like, say, for instance, according to the westernized calendar, today's Monday, right? But how do we know today is not actually Thursday? In reality, how do we not know that? And the answer is, well, because the keeping track of the weeks and months and days, the way it's done today was not how it was done thousands of years ago. So truly, it's just going by a tradition today, right? It's a tradition that, say for instance, that Jesus Christ was born on the day they celebrate Christmas, right? Was it December the 25th, right? That's a tradition. That's not actually provable. It's just a tradition that everybody believes and everybody practices without question because that's how they were raised. So they continue that tradition, but that's not actually true. But anyway, I won't go too far off onto that. But again, I wanted to rant about this. So here it is. March the 31st, right, so-called Easter, is now declared as a national holiday for people out here that identify as whales and, are unsure about, who they actually are. I mean, this is amazing to me. This is amazing. We really needed a entire shit. It's bad enough there's an entire month dedicated to pride, right? So they took God's image of the rainbow, which was his covenant with the world, with the story of Noah, right? When he flooded the world, he gave the rainbow as a sign to mankind that he wouldn't destroy the world with water again. So they took that image and now painted it into a rainbow flag, right? So now whenever you see the rainbow everywhere, everybody be like, oh, that represents the pride right there, right? That represents pride. But in reality, it actually represents God's covenant with man, right? But man took the image and, turned it into something that it's not. Same thing with, say, for instance, the so-called Star of David necklace I got on, right? People be out there like, oh, well, that's wicked, right? That's wicked. No, it's not. That's in First Kings. What is that? 7, verse 18 and 19. It represents a lily flower or a pomegranate fruit, right? If you cut a pomegranate fruit open, the inside looks similar to the so-called star here. The reason I say so-called star is because it's not actually a star, because according to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 13, verse 2, it says the stars are circles. It says the circle of the stars. So stars, according to the Bible, are not this shape right here, which people in the West believe a star looks like, right? That's like, say for instance, if you go online, look up a picture of a star, like a cartoon drawing or just artist drawing, like 99 times out of 100, it's going to look like that shape right there, right? But again, in reality, that's not what stars actually look like. So again, people try to make that image into something that it's not. Oh, which I should mention as well, because I got a cross on here too. People be like, "Oh, that's an idol right there," right? Like Deacon Sakari, right? That dummy. Um, he was telling this one dude. This guy called into one of his open panel streams. I believe the guy's name was Max. The guy called in and asked him, "Hey, Deacon and Hassad, right? Deacon and Fassad. I got a question for you." And again, I'm speaking from Max's perspective here. He said, is it a sin for a person to wear a cross necklace? And Deacon was like, oh, well, that's idolatry. But then Max was like, but all the people I know that wear it, they're not wearing it as an idol. They're wearing it because when you see it, it's supposed to remind you of what Christ did for you when he went upon the cross to cover your sin. So Deacon and Hassad, they were struggling to try to, answer this guy's question, trying to convince him that wearing a cross necklace is somehow like detestable and evil, even though it literally just represents Christ, that he died for you. Like literally, I did an entire video on this. It's not released yet. Probably will next week or something. But I did an entire like 40-minute response to the whole dialogue about the cross necklace. So that'll be out in the future. But why I'm here, I'll address a little bit. But here's the fact, though. The cross is recognized around the world to represent the man from the Bible, right? Who people call Jesus Christ. We call him Yahushai, right? But the cross necklace is a worldwide symbol. If you see the symbol of the cross, you know what that is referring to. You know what that represents. So again, hell, I even said in the video, if you go to India, you go to Pakistan, you go to Russia, you go to Germany, right, the United States, the Philippines, list could go on and on and on, even North Korea and South Korea. If you go to those countries and you wear a cross necklace, people be like, oh, that guy, must be a Christian then, or in some shape and form believe in Jesus, because that symbol right there, that represents the man from the Bible who died on that for forgiveness of sin. Everybody knows this, but according to Deacon Sakari, he doesn't know that though. The dummy literally said, "Oh, well, how are they worshiping Jesus? Jesus is not a cross." It's like, well, dumbass, they're not worshiping a cross. They're having it as like a symbol that they believe in who people call Jesus Christ. Just like how you, Deacon, you wear the Star of David symbol, so-called Star of David symbol, because it's a Israelite symbol, right? Now, the Star of David looks like a satanic pentagram, right? They took the image and they made it into something that it's not. So does that mean that the Bible's image is evil because they took it and made it into something that it's not? The answer is no. Same thing with the rainbow flag. The rainbow flag is not entirely an evil thing, because in the Bible it represents God's covenant with man. But in the modern world today, they've taken it and they try to make it into representing something that God is completely against, right? What is that? Leviticus 20:13, right? If a man lives with another man, he's supposed to be killed. But again, in America, that's allowed out here, right? That type of behavior is supported. Even these churches out here. Now, of course, to be fair, I'm not putting this on every church, because there are churches out there that actually try to follow the Bible, even though they're following a washed down version of Christianity, a washed down version of the Bible. That's true. But when I make the statement, I'm putting this on some churches, but not every church. But there's churches out here that I've seen with my own eyes that literally are flying rainbow flags outside their church, which obviously they're flying it out there for people who are, rainbows or these transformers out here, people of all these diverse, sexualities and all that. And really, it's detestable to me. It's like, wait, what? You guys are flying a rainbow flag outside of your church for Pride Month? Don't you guys know that you're Jesus of the Bible, which you guys believe that's God from the Old Testament, right? Because most of these churches are Trinitarians. So you believe that God's okay with that? So why the hell did God say, if you see a man lay with a man, both of them should be killed? Oh, that was Old Testament. That's not in our time now. That was the Old Testament. God changed, even though the Bible literally says, "I'm the Lord, I change not." Wait, there's another verse. I believe it's Hebrews 13, verse 8. It says, Christ the same yesterday, today, and forever. Right? Christ was the same yesterday, today, and forever. And again, these guys believe that Christ is God. So according to their logic, it's saying God's the same yesterday, today, and forever. So how the hell could you say that there was a point where he changed his morals and what he accepts? And the answer is, well, you can't say that because now you're just adding to the Bible. So I want to get a couple of precepts, dealing with this whole, national, transformer day. Bear with me for a second. Okay, because again, the United States claims that it's a nation founded under God, right? When the presidents of this country have their inauguration, meaning for those around the world that don't know what inauguration means, basically it means when they're sworn into office, right? Into the office of being the president of this country, right? They first of all they go to a church and they have to put their hand on the Bible and swear their oaths on the Bible, which for one the Bible says you're not supposed to do that, but they do that, right? They swear their oath on the Bible that they're going to do, the best for their nation and, follow what they said they will. And of course, they never really do, right? But I'm just pointing out, it's like, wait a second. So America claims to be a God fearing nation. It's even in their slogans, right? A nation under God, right? The land of the free, the nation under God, God bless America. That's their slogans. Which really the God they're talking about is Satan, right? They're actually talking about the Lord Satan. They're not actually talking about Yahweh, right? Or his son Yahushai, who people call Jesus Christ. That's not really what they're referring to. But the average gullible moron will believe, oh, well, they say in God we trust. Well, they're talking about Jesus. Well, how do you know that? Oh, because they used the word God. It's like, but you dummy, you do know the Bible calls Satan a god too, right? Calls him the God of this world. So when they refer to God, you shouldn't just be so quick to say, oh, well, that's Jesus. I mean, come on, this is retarded. Because again, America claims to be a Christian nation, but why is it when we read the Bible here, the Bible is saying things in contradictory to the laws of the land here? Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 5. The woman shall not wear that which pertains unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are abomination unto the Lord thy God. Wait a second. You got men out here literally dressing up like women and vice versa, right? The same thing, woman dressing up as a man. God said that that's an abomination to him and he's not with that. But in this country, which is apparently a Christian nation, you're allowed to do that. And on Easter, which is a day that most people believe is significant, it has to do with Jesus Christ, this dummy Biden declares it to be a national day of recognizing, transformers. I mean, hey, if you can't see this place is Mystery Babylon the Great, I mean, you gotta, you have some serious blockage over your eyes. Inside joke, right? You got some serious, um, they pull the wool over your eyes to put it in simple terms, right? To put it in simple terms, the government and the powers that be, they pulled the wool over your eyes, right? They have blinded you like a gullible sheep if you can't see this. Let me see. There's another good verse. Isaiah chapter 3, verse 9. They show their countenance does witness against them. They declare their sin as Sodom, they hide it not. Woe unto their soul, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. Right, and that's what's happening here. Again, you literally have pride parades taking place, man. You got churches out here celebrating this, like Pride Month. We got churches out here celebrating this, right? Hell, if you go to damn Target, man, which is for those living around the world, Target is like a grocery store over here in the United States. Um, you can look them up. They have like a big red circle as their logo. But if you go to their stores, you can go into any bathroom you want. A man's allowed to go into a woman's bathroom, right? A man's allowed to go into the woman's bathroom where there's little 5 year olds in there. Again, that's allowed in this country. You're allowed to do that. But if I criticize America, I'm viewed as the bad guy, right? I'm viewed as the bad guy for saying, well, wait a second, America. How can on one hand you claim that you're a nation under the God of the Bible, but then on the other hand, you reject his laws and his commandments and you go according to whatever your politicians make up as being the law? Like another good precept, right? Again, I can spit these verses off the top of the dome because I'm knowledgeable. Psalms 94, verse 20. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with you, they who frame mischief by a law? Let me say it again. Psalms chapter 94, verse 20. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with you, those who frame mischief by a law? Right, and this is mischief right here, right? Again, that's what happens in this country. There's a group called Congress, and they have rights to control everybody by their opinions. If a bunch of them agree on, say, a bill, right, meaning what, a new law, a new legislation, they can all agree on that, send it to the president, he signs his signature on it, and now everybody's required to live according to those commandments, regardless of what it is. Again, that's why I criticize this country as being a totalitarian dictatorship. This is not a free country. If you believe you're free, you're a dumbass if you believe that. And again, that's what a lot of Americans out here are, because they can sit there, drink their damn, Bud Light and watch damn, football, after they worked, 90 hours a week, you know what I'm saying? And because they can sit there for 2 days that they have off on Saturday and Sunday, oh, well, this is a free country, right? This is a free country. I mean, you got to be a dumbass to believe something like that. You're a gullible sheep, right? You are a gullible sheep if you believe that you live in a free country. Like this dumbass Jill, right? This dumbass Jill, which his name stands for Jesus is Lord, right? He has some people consider that to be a good name, but really, when you actually challenge this guy on what he's saying, you see this guy's a complete dumbass. Dude literally told me that back in Germany, right, in the Second World War, I asked him about Anne Frank and her family, right? If you know the history, you might know what I'm referring to. Um, Anne Frank and her family, they were hid from the Germans in World War II because they were hunting for people of that religion, right? So a family hid them away from the Germans, and then eventually the Germans found Anne Frank and her family, and they killed all of them. So I asked Jill, it's like, okay, Jill, so do you think that the family that hid Anne Frank and her family away from the authorities, being the Germans, do you think they were in sin against God because the government, the Germans, were looking for those people? And Jill told me, yes, the people that hid Anne Frank and her family from being tortured, they were in sin against God because the authority, the government, they were looking for those people. So if you hid those people from them, well, you're in sin against God. I mean, wow, these are the dummies that people believe are actually intelligent. I mean, you can't be serious. I mean, you can't be serious. These are the dumbos on here that people believe, right? What's this guy? What's this dude? As Kent Hovind would say, right? Right, a SpongeBob style, right? Make believe SpongeBob style. That's how dumb these guys are out here, right? That's how dumb some of these cats on YouTube are, man, right? A bunch of dumb niggas. They don't really know shit about nothing, right? They just sit there, make their YouTube channel, talk shit about things they know nothing about, and think that they're smart. That's what a lot of dudes are out here doing. So let me give you an example, man. Well, shit, I can't give that example. I've given it on like literally the last 3 videos, so I won't bring that up. But let's say this, right? I myself, right? I'm a young dude, but I'm coming up on 10 years now that I've been in the know, right? I've been in the know now, right? In the truth, I would consider myself, or as Apostle Gabar says, which, much respect to the apostles, a great millstone. But as Apostle Gabar says, this thing of ours, right? This thing of ours, meaning the narrow path that we're on. What is that? Matthew 7:13, right? Broad is the way that leads to destruction, but narrow is the way that leads to life, and there's only a few on it, but there's many on the path leading to destruction. And it also, if you read Second Ezra's chapter 7, it also gives another parable alluding to this, but you can read that in your free time. But yeah, I like Second Ezra's the seventh chapter. That's a good one. The whole book of Second Ezra's is a really good book. That's a reason why they removed that from the Bible, because there's actually a lot of, deep parables in there, and a lot of, future prophecies that was given by God to Ezra to write down for people living after him, which we see some of those things happening in the world even today. So again, if you haven't read the Apocrypha, you definitely got to up your game. You definitely got to go get one. I mean, shit, you can go on Amazon, right? The app Amazon, and you can literally get a Apocrypha for $10. Bear with me a second. Again, you can literally go onto Amazon, and you can literally buy yourself a Bible, or Apocrypha for $10. So again, there's no excuse really to not have the Apocrypha, unless you just like basically came into this truth like maybe a month ago or something like that, and you won't have it. Because I even went to what's it, Barnes and Noble, and I asked them, hey, do you guys have a Apocrypha? Again, they have like every other book in the world, but when they asked him if he got an Apocrypha, the guy's like, wait, what? Could you spell that out for me? The guy had never even heard about that before, right? So again, these books are absolutely hidden. They don't want you to get these. The word Apocrypha means to take away and to hide, basically, right? It means to hide away is what the word Apocrypha means, right? So these books were removed from the Bible, because they don't want people to get this information that's held within those books. We got dummies out here. Like say for instance, right? Last week, I was talking to this dude, Samuel Owen, which believes that he's Jesus Christ, right? Which, I mean, that's some bullshit right there to begin with. How the hell can you be Jesus Christ if there's literally a war taking place in your holy land right now today? It's like, wouldn't you have stopped that if you're really Jesus Christ? Like, seriously, well, wouldn't you have acted already and stopped the whole war taking place in Israel and Gaza if you're really Jesus Christ? Like, wouldn't you have stepped in and stopped that already? He can't address that, because again, and then he was like, you really think you can, reject me as the savior like that? I was like, yeah, man, I mean, you're definitely, a false teacher, right? I'll tell you that straight to your face. You're absolutely a false teacher. And second of all, why the hell would I believe you're Jesus Christ if there's literally 100,000 people plus in the world who believe that they're Jesus Christ and have a following? Like, literally, I was watching a video, I believe it's from Brew Bisky or something like that. And bear with me a second. All right, here's the video if you want to check it out yourself. I don't know how good the quality will come through, but that's the video right there. It's called, put up by Brew Binsky, 1 million people think he's the real Jesus Christ. And he goes to like some type of developing country, and there's this character there that literally believes that he's Jesus Christ, and he has like an entire village set up where he has his own servants, right, his own apostles, and all the townsfolk, adore this man. And he has 1 million followers around the world that actually believe that this guy is Jesus Christ in his second coming. So again, Sam, why just dealing with reasoning, right? Even though all of you are fake Jesuses, obviously, but just dealing with logic for a second. Why the hell would I take your claims that you're Jesus Christ if there's literally this other guy over there that has 1 million followers that believes he's Jesus? Out of the two of you, doesn't he seem like a better qualifier then? Which obviously all of you are full of bullshit to begin with. But I'm just saying, it's like, isn't the other dude that I just shown, isn't he more of a a candidate for being Jesus compared to you? I mean, shit. Sam literally said, "I am the roaring lion from the tribe of Edom." Right? I'm the roaring lion from the tribe of Edom. What? Roaring lion from the tribe of Edom? Where does it say that Jesus was from Edom? Because what is that scripture? Hebrews 7:14. It's evident that our Lord sprung from the tribe of Judah. So again, the Bible says that Jesus came from the tribe of Judah, but you're saying that Jesus was an Edomite. Wait, what? How the hell could the king of the Jews be an Edomite? And then he's like, oh, I don't accept Paul's writings. I don't accept Apostle Paul's writings. So, wait a second. Even if you don't go by Hebrews because you reject Paul all of a sudden, if you just go by Luke, the book of Luke, it says in there that Jesus is from the lineage of David. So if Jesus is from the lineage of David, aka King David from the Old Testament, right? If he's from the lineage of David and King David was an Israelite, how the hell could Christ be an Edomite? Like, I mean, seriously, I don't believe I've heard bullshit like this in such a long time. This is asinine, believing that the King of the Jews, Jesus Christ, is actually an Edomite. I mean, come on, this is bullshit. This is worse than that other dude. One cat I had a conversation with like 2 months ago. I think his name was Naga or something like that. And he was telling me that Apostle Paul is actually an Edomite. And then I went to Romans, what is that, the 11th chapter, verse 1 and verse 2, where Paul says, I am a Benjaminite. I am an Israelite from the tribe of Benjamin. That's what Paul literally said in the verse. And then Naga was like, oh, you're just adding that to the Bible. He was actually an Edomite. Then I asked him, well, where is the book, chapter, verse that says that Apostle Paul was from the tribe of Edom? Or is from the lineage of Edom, in any way, shape, and form, right? How was he an Edomite? And he's like, oh, it's in there, but I don't really know. The best thing he could give is, bear with me a second. Again, the best thing he could really give me is he could say, well, Paul was a Roman citizen. It's like, okay, but that doesn't mean that he is an Edomite just because he was a citizen living in Rome. Like, say, for instance, right? You have some people that are originally from China living in the United States. But it doesn't change the fact that they're originally from China, right? So they'll always, go back to that country regardless of the fact they live in another country. Again, this is not difficult to understand. This is not difficult. So again, even if Paul lives in Rome, that doesn't make him an Edomite. Because again, Rome, if you do the research on it, Rome was made up of all different types of nationalities and, cultural beliefs. So again, that doesn't mean that he was an Edomite just because he might have lived in Rome. I mean, that's asinine to say that. Again, it just shows that you don't know the history of what it is that you're talking about. And let's address the elephant in the room, and that being, for one, you're saying that he is an Edomite, but the elephant in the room is Paul said from his own mouth that he is a Benjaminite, aka an Israelite. So how do we address that? You're adding to the Bible, but what I'm showing you is book, chapter, verse. So again, how the hell is he an Edomite? And then dummies out there like this one dude. Oh shit, what's this guy's name? I think his name is Veckel, right? Veckel. He's like a popular, so-called Christian on YouTube. I've talked to him maybe once or twice before on the stream. I believe it was on like Praise I Am's channel, something like that. But Veckel, if y'all know who I'm talking about, he told me once that Job was an Edomite. Wait, Job was an Edomite, but it tells you, I believe, let me even see if I can pull that verse up real quick. Bear with me for a second. I believe it's Genesis 46:13, if I'm not mistaken. Give it a second to load here. I'll read it for the audience so they know what I'm alluding to. So Veckel told me that that Job was a Edomite. Okay, yeah, I got it here. So Veckel told me that Job, right, from the story of Job, right, he was actually an Edomite. I asked him, well, where can you show me that he was an Edomite? And then, of course, he dodges the question and just asks me, well, where can I show that he was an Israelite? It's like, okay, well, here's the book of Genesis chapter 46 and verse 13. It says, and the sons of Issachar, Tula, Puva, and Job, and Shimron. Wait, Job was mentioned among, what was it, the four sons there? Job was one of them mentioned. And it says, in the sons of Issachar, meaning what? A man that is, the tribes are named after, right? So again, I don't know how he can get around this right there. I honestly don't get how this individual Veckel can get around that. He told me that Job was an Edomite, but I just shown where his father was an Israelite, so that would make him an Israelite as well. So again, I mean, these guys are completely refuted. Again, it amazes me the ignorance and the complete stupidity that certain people have out here, man. It's just amazing. It's amazing to me. Honestly, it's amazing to me the level of ignorance that some of these individuals out here, on this platform, express. It's truly astonishing. If I could say so for myself. But I don't want to make the video too drawn out. I just wanted to go on a little bit of a rant. Because I saw this article, I believe earlier this morning or late last night. I saw the article where Biden was talking about, well, March 31st will always be, Transformers Visibility Day. And, it's funny because I saw people joking around about, wait, Visibility Day? So are you saying like they're not visible any other day of the year? Because every time I go to the damn store, you see these people there. I mean, shit, they're treated better than I am. I can't even go to damn Burger King, right, or Hungry Jack's and get a damn burger without the employee being a damn transformer. Like literally, true story. One time went to the damn Burger King for the drive-through, right, and this dude, what would you could you couldn't really tell this was a guy because he looked like a woman, right? So we were like, oh well, yeah, well, thanks, man. And then he's like, oh, well, I'm not a man, right? I'm actually a she, So he had to apologize, you can't really get into argument with people like that, you know what I'm saying? But think about how ridiculous that is. You go somewhere, they look like a woman, then you say, you use pronouns like, she or her, and then they'll make you seem like you're the bad guy because it's actually apparently a guy then. Again, this is amazing. This is the world that we're living in. Like, I remember I was watching a video on YouTube. I believe it was back from like the 50s or the 60s. And they were asking like high school students. It was an old black and white video, right? They were asking high school students, what do you envision the year 2020 to be like, right? What do you envision the world to look like in 2020? And some of them gave wild predictions like, have flying cars in that time, have, a moon base at that time, would have, all types of shit, flying cities, right? But yeah, here it is, right? 2020, and if they're their own from there, what do we got? Ain't got no flying cars, but we have people out here believing that they're blue whales. You got people out here identifying as the opposite gender. You got people saying, well, we shouldn't identify children when they're born. Bear with me a second. All right, where did I leave off? I was saying, the saying out here, but you can't, when children are born, we can't label them as he or she because that we don't want to hurt their feelings, right? We don't know if they actually identify as, a male or female yet. It's like, what? This is the world. This is what the world came to. Got dummies out here identifying themselves as damn bananas, for Christ's sake. I mean, Jesus, man. This is amazing. If you can't tell that we're living in the end times, I mean, you got to be a dumbass if you can't see that. Got dummies out here. I literally know a dude that's a damn pastor, and he told me, hey, look, we're not really in the end times. We still have, a couple hundred more years. A couple hundred more days. I mean, a couple hundred more years, excuse me. I'm like, shit, I think we're on the order of days, right? On the order of days, as Mina Shareg would say, right? right? Shit, I don't know about you. Ain't feel like no couple hundred more years. This feels like on the order of days this place has left, man. I mean, shit, a kingdom can't go on like this. People literally confused about who they are. People confused if we were born as a male or a female, right? People confused about I mean, it's just way too much. It really is just too much to even to mention at this point, right? There's so much shit taking place out here. It's unbelievable, right? It's truly unbelievable the bullshit that's happening on a day by day basis out here, especially in this country, but around the world. Hillary Clinton said when she was running for office back in 2016 against Trump, she made a statement in one of her speeches and said, once something is pushed in America, the entire world follows. Why is that? Because America is basically like that light on the top of the high hill, basically, right? America is that glorifying light that everybody is drawn towards, right? That's how people view the United States, right? This is that golden city. I believe, what is that scripture? I believe that's Jeremiah 50, Jeremiah 51 calls it the golden city, right? How has the golden city ceased? Yeah, that's talking about America, that golden city. That's how people around the world, at least at one point in time, thought about America. When America's brought to mind, that you ask them, well, where do you want to go? If you could pick anywhere in the world, where would you want to go if you could leave your current country? Like 99% of people would pick, oh, I want to go to the United States. And in their mind, they view America as like symbolically having like streets paved with gold, meaning what? It's much greater than their current country they live in, right? That's how people view this country from around the world. But the truth is, it's not like that over here, right? That's not how this country is. It's not um, like some type of, kingdom of heaven on earth. Some people believe it is, right? Some people out here have that type of lifestyle where they're able to say that. But vast majority of people over here, man, hey, you're living one paycheck away from living on the streets, man. Or if you want to get ahead in this country, you got to do some shady things behind the scenes, man. If you want to get ahead, you're gonna have to you're going to be having to do a couple things that you would prefer not to do. That's what you have to do in this country to get ahead, man. So again, don't believe the lies if you're in another country outside of the United States. Don't believe the bullshit that they're putting out there, the smoke and mirrors, if you're familiar with what that term means, right? It's all smoke and mirrors, just like how in Rome, to stop the people from revolting against the hardships that they had to live by, the authorities built that Colosseum to keep all the people entertained. Like literally, if you do the history on it, when they opened the Colosseum in Rome, they did 100 days straight of games, right? When the Colosseum first opened, there was literally 100 days straight of games every day that people could come to the Colosseum and watch. Hell, you could even get in for free. You won't have a very good seat, but you could even get in for free. But if you want to pay money, you can get a better seat in the arena, right? But even people that were poor were allowed to get in. They just had, not the best type of seatings. But same thing with how it is today. We got literally, these sports events, like say for instance the Super Bowl, right? There's literally 100 million people watching it live on TV at the same time, and then there's like what 100,000, 80,000 people that are there at the arena. Hell, maybe there's even more. I don't know. I've never went, but there's well over 100 million people paying attention to that football game or whatever, um, as it's taking place. You know what I'm saying? So just like how it was in ancient Rome, right? They use these distractions to entertain the people, right? As they use it as a smoke and mirrors type of effect, right? You keep the people entertained so they don't revolt against you. But the truth is, man, the sun is setting on this empire, meaning what? That this empire, her days are running thin, right? Her days are running thin. And the writing's on the wall. Even people that don't believe in the Bible admit this. There's even historians out there, or people dealing with the economy, right? People out there who are knowledgeable on these fields of study, who are even acknowledging, well, yeah, it certainly does seem like America is hitting her end stage. At this point, basically, to put it in simple terms, this is not a conspiracy at this point, right? This is not a conspiracy. This is just the fact that the empire, America, is in a decline right now. And this has happened all throughout history, right? All throughout history, empires have risen and empires have fallen. That's just the cycle of how this world works. Just like how, say, for instance, Ukraine right now, that might not exist 2 years from right now. The Ukraine might be a fallen empire from the past in the very near future. So, hey, going back to the statement, empires have a time to rule, but then they all have a time to fall. That's the time that we're in right now. I believe it's a scripture in Second Ezra's. I believe that's the fourth chapter, if I'm not mistaken. But it says, and I'm nearly paraphrasing it, but it says, the Lord will not move or stir the times until the said measure has been fulfilled. Right? God's not going to intervene from the time He's given these empires to rule. He's going to give them their set measure of time, and then once that time has ran out, then the empire is going to get taken down. But He gives them all a certain time period to have their rulership. So while they're in the middle of that time, He's not going to jump in and cut them off there. No, He's going to give them their set amount of time, and then once they reach that end, then He's going to bring that judgment on them. Right, and that's the point we're approaching right now, right? 2024. We're approaching the end of America. And again, this is not a conspiracy theory. I mean, the writing is on the wall. If you can't see it, then you're just a dummy if you can't see it. I mean, again, this is not difficult to understand. This is very simple if you have eyes to see and ears to hear, as the scriptures would say, right? The evidence is on the wall, right? The writing's on the wall. The evidence is out into the open that this is what's happening. And the people that can't see it are you're just not paying attention. I mean, you're just not paying attention. You got to, this is why the Bible has parables in it that speak about, that you got to keep your eyes, right? You got to be watching, right? When Christ comes back, He's going to take His servants that were watching, right? Not one that was, a drunkard and was foolish and, partied around and, didn't actually pay attention to the signs taking place. Scriptures also say a wise man will foresee the evil and he'll hide himself. Like, say, for instance, some of these preppers out here, right? These doomsday preppers. They try to make them look like bad guys and insane on like the TV shows and whatnot. But the truth is, man, these individuals are going to have an upper edge on the population out here, once this collapse happens. Because a lot of these dudes, they have years worth of food and supplies at their homes, they have to rely on. Some of them have their own bunkers, right? So again, they foresee the bad times, so they got themselves prepared while the average fool out here was going around getting drunk every weekend, right? So again, you gotta, have your eyes on what's taking place in this world, right? You actually got to be watching everything that's happening. You can't just be like some of these dummy conspiracies theories on the internet, right? Some of these conspiracy theorists out here, like Russian vids, right? RV Truth, saying, oh, everything's fake. Everything is fake, right? Nothing is ever real. Nothing's ever real, right? If I see on the news, America and Russia, oh, like this dude, what's this guy? David Weiss, right? He'll be like, oh, nuclear weapons are all fake, right? All that's fake to scare people. I mean, well, shit, you can say they're all fake. But what are you going to do when one hits a city near you? Well, what are you going to do then? Because you said that was all fake. But you're going to find out one day in the future that's not fake. Right? You're going to find out the tension between America and Russia, right? The tension between these countries. It's not some type of show for people to just, scare people. This is real. This is real. These countries don't like each other. They are actually ready to fight each other. They're ready to kill each other's soldiers. They're ready to I got to watch the wording I use here. They're willing to go to war at this point. This is not a show for people just to watch and get scared, right? Like some of these dummies on the internet think, oh, it's all a show. All the world leaders are all joined together. It's not real. It's like, no, this is real. This is very real. And again, if you say it's not real, then you don't believe in the Bible then, because even Jesus said that one of the signs that the end would be approaching is nations would be fighting against other nations and kingdoms against kingdoms. Right? Kingdoms rising against other kingdoms in fights. Christ said that that was a sign that he was approaching. So again, if you think all this is not real and just a show for people to get scared at, I mean, well, hey, you're just delusional. You have no idea what you're talking about. Like, there's some dumbasses out here on the internet, man. I'll spend a couple minutes, ranting about some of these fools out here. There's some dumbasses out here that literally will tell me, well, the war in Ukraine is fake. It's like, wait, what? War in Ukraine is fake? Well, what exactly do you mean by that statement? It's like, are you even clear in your own head as to what you mean by that? Like, do you mean the footage on TV is not real? Do you mean that, like, the politics behind it isn't real? Are people actually dying? I mean, like, what do you even mean when you make such a bullshit, a retarded statement like that? That the war isn't real. Well, by that logic, according to you, the war in Gaza is not real either. Then, I mean, seriously, it's like, what do these dummies mean when they say bullshit like this? Like, say for instance, right? If somebody asks me if I make a statement and I say that ISS footage is fake, or I say that pictures of Earth from space are not real, they'll ask me, well, what do I mean by that? And then I can go into this information, that information, this information, this other information about the CGI, the cloud duplication, the the parts where they literally admit they can't go to space. I could show them all of the footage we have to demonstrate that there's flaws taking place with the footages, where there's green screens being used. Again, I can go into all this detail on my statements, but yeah, dummies like, oh, what's this guy? I believe I won't put any names out there, but there's some people I've seen by going on live streams over the past 2 years who've told me before that the war taking place is not real, basically. But of course, when I ask them, well, what do you mean by that? They have no idea. Like literally, they go brain dead. Like they have no clue what they're saying. They're just repeating a phrase that they might have heard somebody else say, and then they're just repeating it to sound smart. But if you question them on what they're saying, they have no idea. I mean, again, it's truly remarkable to me how dumb some people are out here. It's really amazing to me. It's like, really? So you're going to sit there and say such a bullshit claim, but then when you're challenged on the bullshit, you have no idea why you believe the nonsense. I mean, come on, you can't be serious. But these are supposedly knowledgeable people. Like seriously, if you tell me the war in Ukraine is fake, what about it is fake? Are you saying the news footage is fake? Because dummy, you do realize there's literally thousands of people in Ukraine recording footage on their phones of these attacks happening. So that's not fake. The politics, well, what about that's fake? The country is literally already to go to war. Like seriously, NATO is moving troops, around their countries. Like say for instance, there's operations taking place in the NATO alliance right now, because of what's happening in Ukraine. Right, like literally, they just are what was doing. I believe over Christmas time they were doing like a operation, with like 40,000 NATO troops, right, preparing for drills with war with Russia, right. They were doing some drill operations, right, so their troops would be prepared if this event actually happens, right. So again, armies around the world are moving around. They're getting ready for something. Governments around the world are telling their citizens, you need to be prepared because we don't know what's about to happen. Like literally, there's countries around the world like China that they've told their people, okay, you should have a year's worth of food or 6 months worth of food at your house at all times. But in the United States, the US government, they're not even acknowledging that there's anything happening. They're not even acknowledging the serious situation that we're in right now. They won't even acknowledge it. They'll just tell people, we got everything under control. Don't worry about nothing. Right? Oh, don't go panic buy. Right? Don't go panic buy. We need to have enough to go around. So again, it's just remarkable to me. It's just remarkable to me. The level of ignorance that some people show out here. Again, supposedly knowledgeable, intelligent people. You get to see it. They don't really know what the hell they're talking about. Like say for instance, right? Um, Dealing with people saying that what's happening in Ukraine is not real. Um, they'll say, oh, well, yeah, people are actually dying on the ground. Buildings are getting hit with missiles and whatnot. But really behind the scenes, Zelensky and Putin are like buddies behind the scenes. Like that's what some of these dummies try to say. And they say that because there might have been like a picture from like years ago, but where you see like Putin and Zelensky having a handshake, right? Literally from years and years ago. Shit, it might even, since we're living in a day and age where there's AI, some of that could even be fake, and you wouldn't even know it, right? So again, they get tricked and think, well, wait, all of this is fake because this picture over here, which could be an AI generated picture nowadays, shows that these two individuals, having a handshake, right? So see, that shows it's all fake, all for the views. I mean, come on, you can't be serious. It's like, so wait a second. So that the funny part is the same person who would say that was probably like a person who likes Donald Trump, right? That's what a lot of these truthers are. They think that Trump's like some type of savior. So they'll say that the picture between Putin and Zelensky shaking hands, that shows that there is trickery going on here. But yeah, if I show them a picture of Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin having a handshake, then they'll be like, well, Trump's really a good guy. So as you see, the same line of logic goes out the window. They'll say one shows that they're just actors, but then when I show one that they like, then all of a sudden they change their mind and they don't address it. I mean, come on, this is amazing. So again, all throughout human history, there's been times where leaders from opposing countries would meet up and discuss deals, and you might see them together, right? But that doesn't mean that they're buddies just because they're in the same room together having a dialogue. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, seriously, it makes no sense what these guys are saying. So again, I have no reason to believe anything other than what I see happening. Right? Russia wants to take over Ukraine because they want to bring back the Soviet empire that once existed, where Ukraine was part of their like their territory. Right? If you do the research on it, Ukraine's only been like an independent nation for like 30 years, right? I believe it was what was it, the 1990s, right? That the Soviet Union collapsed, right? So Ukraine since the 90s was like an independent country according to the history that I've seen. Of course, I don't know the ins and outs of everything, but according to the history, that's what I've seen. So again, I don't have any reason, any logical reason to believe anything else is taking place. It's Russia. They want to take the territory back to reform what they had 30 years ago. It makes logical sense. I have no reason to believe otherwise. Of course, on the other hand, though, it is certainly true that NATO, right, which America's in that alliance, right, like the top player in that alliance, they're really fighting Russia and Ukraine, right, because Ukraine would have folded like a damn card table in the first month or two of the invasion because Ukraine really they have nothing to flex, right? Ukraine is like a baby, right? Ukraine is well, for one, it is a big country, but they have nowhere near the military might that the Russians have. I mean, this is clear facts. A lot of people will just be biased because they like Ukraine and don't want Putin to win. But let's just face the facts. If NATO and all the members of the alliance, I believe how many members are in the NATO alliance? I'm not even sure at this point. I believe there's 38. I could be mistaken. There might be 28. Again, don't quote me on that. I'm not sure off the top of the head how many members are in the are in it, but I know it's around that ballpark. What I said, it's around that number. Um, so again, it's true that the only reason that Ukraine is staying afloat right now is because, again, all of these, hundreds of thousands of rounds and guns and armory from NATO alliance countries. That's the only reason they've been able to stay afloat for the last 2 years. Without that aid, they would have folded in half like a damn card table. That's just what would have happened. And eventually they will, right? Eventually they will. I mean, this aid cannot go on forever. Even Biden, and the politicians in America, are starting to wane a little bit with their military support. Like I remember, like maybe 1 or 2 months ago, um, there was a bill they were trying to get passed to give Ukraine some more aid, but some of the senators they were holding it up because they were saying, "Hey, look, we're not letting this pass until we get the border situation right, the border between U.S. and Mexico. We're not letting any Ukraine go. Excuse me, we're not letting any aid go to Ukraine until we get the borders taken care of, right?" And then Zelensky was like, "Oh, come on, we need the aid, right? We need the aid." So I mean, that country, man. It's a bad time to be over there.